after 40 days and 40 nights of raining and flood and all that, the rain stopped, but there's still water on the earth. But the fountains from underneath the earth stopped spewing out water, and it started to subside. And then God also knew what, how to control the water and how to control the rains and everything. So he was able to calm everything down. God told him when to go in, but God didn't tell him when to come out. So he had to rely on nature, and for nature to tell him what to do. So he sent out two birds. He sent out the raven, who was, we know ravens are scavengers, and they would scavenge for whatever dead animals or dead things that they can find. So of course the raven didn't come back, but he sent out the dove. And so because the whole earth was still covered with water, it wasn't able to land anywhere. So it went back to Noah. It went back into the window. And then after so many days, Noah sent the dove out again. And I guess he did it a couple times, but then after a while, the dove came back with an olive leaf in its beak. And make sure that we know that it's not a branch, okay? Because when it's depicted in pictures and drawings, it looks like the dove is carrying a branch of olive, but it's not an olive branch, it's an olive leaf. Because first of all, birds are not able to snap a branch from a tree. They're not strong enough, and also the branch would be too heavy for it to carry. So the real story is that the dove was carrying an olive leaf, and once Noah saw that it was carrying a leaf, which means that the trees are now budding again, the whole earth is now dry again, he was able to determine that that's a time for them to get out of the ark. So once he came out of the ark, he offered, because he was in such awe with God, he was so impressed with what God did, that he killed and offered the most choice animal that he had on the ark. And he was like, it's more important for me to be able to offer this to God. And it smelled really good. The aroma, that when God smelled that, it's just like somebody barbecuing the best Kobe beef that you can find. It's gonna have that really nice smell that you would salivate. That's how this offering was, how it smelled to God. So God was very impressed with him. And then he also felt bad, because he said, I will never wipe out a whole civilization that way, because of my anger. He was so angry because he is a jealous God. And if you're idolizing a different type of God and not him, he will get jealous and he will get angry. I mean, he's God. He gets angry. We're made in the image of God. We get angry. That's an emotion, and he has the same emotion. So that's why he was so disgusted. Remember, he was so disgusted. He said, I wish I never created them, because they were such sinners, And then after he said that, he said, people will never live longer than 120 years. So he put like a maximum. He put like a cap, if you will, for people to live in years. So if you think that you're going to live past 120 years, think again. God won't allow that. So my grandmother died at 101, and my paternal grandfather died at 103. Getting close, but not close enough. They now have an understanding, and Noah was very, 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 very loyal to God. So what Noah did was built an altar for God, and this is where he put this off. Seems that also God came down with an understanding that humans will always be very sinful from the beginning, from the time they are born, because of what Adam and Eve did. So this is why he made a decision that, and so he promised. That's a promise that's full of mercy, which means that he has to really be forgiving, because there's nothing he can do. We have our own will. We were born this way, and it's in our nature. We were made from his own image, and he breathed the spirit of life in us. So he doesn't want any part of himself to go to hell. But if you're just really turning away from him, just like he created Lucifer, Satan, he's not going to have mercy after so many times. Like, you totally disregard me in your life, and you totally turn your life away from me, then there's really not much he can do. So we have to accept his mercy, and in order for us to accept his mercy, we have to stop sinning, or we have to at least try to stop sinning and do the best we can to be faithful to him. Okay, that's all he really wants, which is really not a lot to ask for. Even though we have our flesh, fighting the flesh is like a big, huge effort. It's really hard to do. But he understands. God understands that. So he's not holding a grudge against us. Because
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
What the heck? Okay, so Siri was actually talking to me. Like, I said something that I didn't. So that's what the sacrifice is, the turning point. So in order for us to make atonement with God, atonement is meaning gonna hash it out with him and say, okay, I'm sorry, this is what I'm gonna do for you. You have to sacrifice something. In those days, the way you sacrifice is you give your best animal and burn it to offer it to him. But these days, because we have Jesus, Jesus made it so much easier. He became an advocate for us to God. And just ask Jesus, I'm sorry for what I've done, and promise I'll never do it again. Like, you can never do something again, but just make sure that you're not doing it on purpose because you think the forgiveness is coming like vending machine, like you can just push a button and it'll be given to you. That's not how it works. So man's heart is going to always be evil from the time we are born. So there's really not much we can do for ourselves about that. You know what's so great about the whole ark thing is when God started the earth back up, he made sure that there were 4 seasons. And in those 4 seasons, like, the plants would be renewed, the plants would die, it would be renewed. There are plants that survive during the wintertime, so we're not hungry and we're not starving. And also he made the animals submissive to us, even though they are huge and they can overtake us, and they can actually kill us if they're big enough, just like the elephant, the tigers and the bears and lions. But you know how they say that the animals are more scared of people than people are scared of the animals? It's true, because they always are trying to avoid us. They're avoiding us unless we try to instigate something, and they really leave us alone. And they also become submissive to us, like the horses, the dogs, cats, all those different types of animals. And we're able to tame them. We're able to use them, for our purposes and for purposes of being alive, staying alive. Animals are there for us. The horses, the camels, all those things. And he made sure that all the animals, and we don't even think about it. It's not even something that I thought about until I read the Bible and found out all these things. And also he gave us the 4 seasons, which is there's cold, there's summer, there's winter, there's spring, which is beautiful today. It's so beautiful. I love this weather. And it just gives us that feeling like when we're focused and we're tuned into God, we start feeling all those feelings when the seasons change. Anything that nature does for us, we notice, we are aware of it, and it makes us worship him and praise him even more. And this is what I got out of chapter 8. It's really awesome. I just love the story. I love the story of the ark. So then now here comes the next phase. The next chapter is going to be how Noah starts the world, what's around us right now. God and Noah both started this for us. There's so much blessing and there's so much grace. That's because God gave it to us, because Jesus died for us. Just like wrap your mind around that. Died, gave up their life. Can you give up your life just randomly to a stranger so that you can save theirs? Something to think about. Anyway, make sure you like and share and tell me about it. Tell me what you feel. How do you feel about this chapter? And how do you feel about nature? How do you feel about the seasons and what the promises that God gave us, the covenant that between God and Noah, and how we were saved? We all came from Noah. Yesterday I was listening to, it just happened to be that on IG, Julie Chen Moonves and Kathy Lee Gifford was her guest at this show in her podcast or something. And Julie Chen asked her, what have you been doing? You know, I guess she lives in Tennessee, in the Nashville area now. Kathy Lee Gifford does. She said that she went to Israel to learn about the rabbinic version of the Bible, because the Bible was written, the King James version was just so totally, manipulated, and the information is not really exactly what the scrolls actually say. And she was saying that, there's a lot of things that they left off and a lot of things that they changed. So if they left off one thing, and I can't remember what she said that was left off, but she said if they can do that with a little thing, what more a big thing. So when I'm reading the Bible and I'm discussing about it, relaying to you what my understanding is, I'm going by what the Bible is saying to me. And I feel like if that's not real, I'm not talking about facts, I'm talking about the story, I'm talking about what man has found out that backs up what I've read. And that's it's very motivating. So no matter what they do in manipulating the Bible, is on them. But I see the character of God. I see his mercy, I see his grace, I see his blessing. It leads all the way up to Jesus, and that's all we really care about. I mean, the specifics doesn't make or break what the Bible is trying to convey. It's who came at the end of it that saved us is what is the most important to me.